Starting on Tuesday, June 17th, the TD International Winnipeg Jazz Festival kicks off. Featuring an all-star lineup of artists from around the world and from right here in Winnipeg, the festival, which runs until June 22nd, is sure to keep Winnipeg audiences swinging well into July. One of the many highlights of the festival is that there are a series of 3 concerts that will pay tribute to 3 jazz icons that were born 100 years ago: B.B. King, Mel Torme, and Canada's own Oscar Peterson. On the 17th at the Fort Garry Hotel's Club Room at 7 p.m. and 9:30 p.m., Winnipeg Jazz pianist Bonness will be harnessing his inner Oscar Peterson and putting on a show that pays tribute to one of the true icons of jazz, not only here in Canada, but around the world. This is going to be a truly memorable show, and joining me here in the Classic 107 studio, I am joined by pianist Bonness. Hey, Will, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So, firstly, I interviewed Jazz Winnipeg Zachary Rushing a while ago, and he said that Jazz Winnipeg has been doing a series of concerts that pay tribute to jazz legends. What was your response when you were first asked to do this concert inspired by Oscar Peterson? Were you daunted?
I don't know if I'd say daunted. I was more excited. Oscar Peterson's been one of my favorite artists and pianists since I started playing jazz. He's kind of the first person you hear about, especially as a Canadian jazz artist. So I already knew so much of the repertoire that it was actually like pretty easy to put together because I already have listened to so much of his music, and I have so many charts that I've put together over the years. So it was really fun to put this together.
Can you talk about your first exposure to Oscar Peterson? Do you remember the first time you heard him?
Yeah, I think I was around 13, and I was just kind of learning what jazz was and getting interested in it. At the time, there wasn't like streaming and all that, so I think I went to the Winnipeg library and checked out some CDs, just like in the jazz section, and there was some Oscar Peterson CDs, and I had heard the name, so I checked out. I think it was Oscar Peterson, and I forget. It was with a saxophonist, but I forget. But it was one of his many albums with a guest artist on. So yeah, that was my first exposure, and it was amazing, and I had no idea what was going on the album because I was new to jazz.
Yeah, and learning as a student, I mean, you can learn so much just by listening. Can you talk about some of the things that you learned from listening to Oscar Peterson's records and things that you wanted to emulate in your own playing?
Yeah, I mean, everything. Like everyone is the most immediately obvious thing is just his virtuosity, is just his facility on the piano. I know his inspirations included especially Art Tatum and Bud Powell and some other pianists, but he kind of took it to like in his own direction. And but aside from that, I mean, he plays great on ballads, like he plays great solo piano, and he's very versatile and very musical. So it's not just virtuoso. Otherwise, I don't think he would have had the longevity he had. It's kind of his virtuosity combined with like real musicality and like obviously like really heavy swing as well. Yeah.
You mentioned it. One of his big influences was a great Art Tatum. When you're playing Oscar Peterson tunes, do you have that Art Tatum like influence does that flow over when you're doing Peterson's stuff?
Well, I mean, I've also listened to probably an equal amount of Art Tatum as Oscar Peterson. So like he's also one of my big influences. I'd say Art Tatum is more like a solo influence. Like he played mostly solo piano. Yeah. In this situation, I'm going to be playing with a trio. So it'll probably be a little bit more indirect of the Art Tatum stuff through Oscar Peterson. Yeah.
One of the things I love about Oscar Peterson is his sound. No matter how fast or the ballads he's playing, he always had a beautiful sound at the piano. Both of your parents are classical musicians. I would imagine you started out as a classically trained pianist. Do you think that helps in your interpretation of Peterson's music and just playing it?
I don't know about interpretation, but just in terms of just being familiar with the instrument from a young age. I mean, Oscar Peterson was also did classical lessons as well. So he had that background as well. So, yeah, I mean, it really helps with the chops and the facility at the instrument, because I grew up playing all the repertoire and all the etudes and whatnot. So, yeah, it certainly is like, it's there. It's part of my playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had so many hits. There was the March Past, the Hymn to Freedom, the Canadiana Suite, Night Train. What can people expect on the show on the 17th as far as what does the set list look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one set. So we're doing about 8 tunes. So it's impossible to hit everything, you know.
Yeah.
I'm doing most, you know, I'll do most of the hits. Like I'll do Night Train and Cool Walk and what was the other one you mentioned?
March Past. Hymn to Freedom.
Hymn to Freedom I'll do. Yeah. I'll do a bunch of those. So, you know, you'll have to come and hear which ones I've chosen. I've tried to do a variety. So, you know, I don't want to do only fast tunes. So, there's some ballads, there's some medium tempo, there's some fast stuff. So, yeah.
Who's going to be joining you on stage? Who's going to be your Ray Brown and Ed Thigpen?
Yeah. Julian Bradford on bass, someone I've played with for, 25 years now, on and off. And then Fabio Ragnelli on drums, who's someone I've been playing with a lot since he moved here a few years ago.
Fellow faculty member with you at the Digital Telecom University of Manitoba.
Yeah.
Between tunes, are you going to be talking about Oscar Peterson? I mean, aside from his piano playing, he had a super interesting life, the challenges he had with racism, especially in the American South, and his numerous marriages. Are you going to be talking about his life between tunes?
I'm probably going to mostly let the music kind of do the talking. I don't consider myself a historian or anything like that, so I'll probably play the tunes and give a little bit of I'll talk about each of the tunes as I go. Yeah.
It's been so great. I got to say, when I was prepping for the interview, it was super enjoyable. I spent a good portion of this morning just sitting around listening to Oscar Peterson.
Yeah.
There's no better way to spend a morning. Quick, fast. 3 favorite Oscar Peterson albums off the top of your head.
Probably. Oh geez, now I'm gonna have to think of the titles. There's one called Time After Time. It's a quartet record. That was the first one I listened to extensively. Obviously Canadiana Suite, and then his really famous solo album that I'm blanking on the name of right now. But it's my favorite Oscar Peterson solo album. I'm going to have to get back to you on the title. I could do it in a second if I look it up, but I'm just blanking on the title of it.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this has been so great. I'll wrap up the conversation by asking, what do you hope audiences are going to take away from the show on the 17th?
Well, I think, I hope it just inspires people to want to check out some more of Oscar Peterson's music. That's all. Yeah.
And we were talking about this off air. The first show is sold out. 7 o'clock show is officially sold out. So big congratulations. So if people are going to get tickets, they'll have to get tickets to the 9:30 show, right?
That is the best of my information. Yeah.
Well, this has been really terrific, sitting down and talking to you about Oscar Peterson and the tribute show on the 17th at 7 p.m. at the Fort Garry as part of the TD International Winnipeg Jazz Festival. Thanks so much for taking the time to stop by.
Thanks for having me today.
Talk to me today.
Talk to you soon.